everybody. Thank you for joining me today. Today is April 11th, 2023. I appreciate you being here. My name is Carrie, and I have a lot to share with you, or I feel like I do. I have been pretty productive in my crafting. Got some quilt stuff and knitting stuff and some beautiful purchases, and that's gonna pretty much fill it up. So let's get started. I finished making all of the blocks for the 100 modern quilt blocks out of this book. So this was a quilt along I did with some friends, and we made all, well, not everybody made 100 blocks, depended on how you wanted to make your quilt. I have had it up on the design wall for the last couple of episodes. And so all the blocks are finished, and I am working now on finishing the blue quilt that I'm going to make with all the blue blocks. And so it's still a work in progress. I started putting some stuff up on the wall because I wanted to see how it was going to look. So I am making some sashing that's going to go between the blocks because the blocks are they're not always busy, but it looks really busy if they're put together. And being that seams won't really line up when I put blocks together, I decided to put something in between them to give them some space. And so I am making these sashing strips. So I'm in the process of doing that. You can see I've still got some more to press. And then I'm just sticking the blue blocks up there, and then I'll rearrange if I feel like there's too many of maybe some dark blues, in one area, and I'll mix it around once I get it up there. So I'm pretty happy with it. It will end up making a good sized lap quilt. And I had a couple people suggest, because I told you last time that I wasn't super happy with, it wasn't like loving it. I was happy with how it was turning out. It was fine. It was a fun process, but it was like, didn't really love it. So this is going to go to somebody, and then the green, I'm not sure how I'm going to set that one, and I'm thinking I'm going to set it to possibly make 2 smaller quilts, like kid-size quilts, and donate them. I know that police stations will take them so that if they have to go and get a child out of a home to put into foster care, they will give them a quilt or a blanket or something. So I will finish the green one for that purpose, but for right now I am working on that. So like I said, it's a work in progress, but this part should go pretty quickly because I just make big long strips and then cut them to length. I got to sew that all together, put some borders on. I still need to quilt it, that whole thing. So it will still take a little bit of time, but it's getting there. This is the part where this does get fun, where you can it's kind of like putting a puzzle together, what pieces look good where or whatever. So that's where that one is. We've already, as a group, quite a few of us have decided on our next quilt-along quilt. So I'm pretty excited about that. But we're going to do it as a block exchange. So I won't be able to show you my progress because it's got to be kind of a secret until we send them out to everybody. So I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to share that, but I'm kind of excited about it. I think it'll be a fun project. A couple weekends ago, I went on a retreat. A friend of mine has started a retreat house, and she's got it all set up, and she's got it set up really, really nicely, and wanted to have friends for the weekend to do kind of a test run of just making sure that she's thought of everything and all that stuff. So we went a couple weekends ago, and I was still in the process of making some of these blocks, and I didn't want to take all the stuff that I needed to do to finish that because I was using scraps, and I didn't want to take all those scraps and stuff. So I thought, okay, what can I work on? And I have been working on the Atomic Star by Violet Craft, which has paper pieced stars. And I thought, this will be a good time to sit and work on those. Excuse me. And so I did do a few stars, not a ton, because not enjoying that process. I don't mind paper piecing, but paper piecing these stars for some reason is very challenging. So it's a very slow progress. So I can spend an hour or more and make one star. So I did get a few of them done. And then I dug through, like, what have I got that's partially done that I could finish? And so if you can see over here on the side, I had made years ago some blocks. So the company So Kind of Wonderful developed a ruler that does curved piecing. And when she first developed it, she was changing like traditional blocks and doing curved piecing with them. So that's like a sawtooth star. That's like a rail fence, which would normally just be straight pieces. And did them with curved pieces. And she would put out on her blog once a month or once a week, I forget how often it was, a free pattern to make whatever block she was showing. And I think it was just a way to get people to start using the ruler and that kind of thing. So I followed along for quite a while. And I ended up making 7 of the blocks. And then I remember, like, the 8th block came out and I was like, that one's kind of ugly. I think I also moved on to something else by then. And so that sat. And I kept thinking, I got to finish that quilt. But in order to make it like a decent sized quilt, I still need to make like 5 more blocks, and just was kind of lost interest in it. So I thought, okay, what can I do with them? Because I do really like the blocks. I like the colors, and it was fun to do. It really excited me when that ruler came out to just do something different. And so I decided to just put a few together. I was going to do this as like a table runner or something, but I've decided I'm going to hang it, and it will just hang on my wall as a skinny quilt. I also put some of these. This is still in progress. I didn't finish it. So these are the other blocks that I have. So this is like a churn dash, if you know quilting. And so I have started quilting it, and I'm just doing vertical lines. And I'm not sure what this one's going to be. The goal was to just finish it as a table runner or something, but who knows? Maybe it'll just be a skinny quilt that I hang somewhere as well. But so that's what I worked on, is just doing this like straight line quilting on my regular sewing machine. Obviously I didn't take my long arm with me, and so that takes a while, usually, doing that for a while. She also had some really comfortable chairs. So I would take a break from sewing and I would just go sit and I would knit or crochet. I brought my crochet project with me too. And it was just a really lovely weekend. She thought of everything. The way she set it up is the tables are there. Every station has a chair, a light, a power source, a wool pressing mat. She has TV trays, so you can also have like a side tray to press on or whatever you want to do. She can accommodate 8 people. There's 8 beds in the house. It's in the woods. You open the window and you can hear the creek nearby that's running, and it was really lovely. I will put the link to the website so you can see what that's all about if you're interested, and if you're in the area of the northern part of Oregon or you want to come to this area, she's got it really figured out, and it was a really fun time, and I was really, really proud of her for all the work that she's done to get this ready. So that got me going. So now I need to finish this because I've got it started, and I need to finish that. I want to finish this, at least the blue one, before we start the next quilt along, so I don't get too far behind. So, unfortunately, we're going to go camping this weekend. And so I'm not going to have any weekend time to sew. So I got to try and figure out some time to get it finished so I can get it to the recipient. But anyway, that is the quilting stuff, which has been fun. And, then I've also gotten, as far as my knitting goes, I feel like I've gotten a couple of big projects finished, got some new stuff started, all that kind of stuff. So let's start with that. I really wanted to try and finish some stuff up. I was really keeping myself from casting anything new on until I finished some stuff. There was a project that I wanted to do. I don't remember which one it was. And I'm like, shoot, I don't have the needle or the cable or something. I needed something. And I thought, okay, I could put a project with the little stoppers. I'm like, or I could just finish it. So I did. So I finished my boho blush. I started this at least 2 years ago. And it was going along great. And then it just started to get really, really long. And it was like, this thing, it takes forever to get through. And so I wasn't sure about finishing it because I thought, do I really want this? I don't know. And I thought, you know what? Finish it. And I'm so glad I did. So this is knit. This is the Boho Blush by Andrea Mowry. And it is knit with cotton yarn. This is yarn by Hobby. Some people call it Hobby. I call it Hobby. And it's a gradient, and was this giant cake. It's their Cotton Kings, and it has 250 grams per cake. It's a pretty good size cake. So you get 1,000 meters, which is like 1,094 yards, I believe. I have 62 grams left. The pattern shows it with a fringe, and she put a pretty long fringe on it. And I thought about it. I actually did. I thought about it because I thought, well, that's kind of fun. But with the cotton yarn, I wasn't sure how that would hang. And so I did a couple of trials. I recently saw, I think it was maybe on Bella Coco's Instagram, where she, with a crochet hook, took a loop, made a long strand, twisted it with it on the hook, and then went back. And so then your fringe was just like a twisted fringe. And I thought that might look really nice. And then I thought, you know what? I don't think I need that extra stuff. I think I would just tangle it up in things, or it would bother me. So I left it off. And I am so happy with this. I'm so glad I finished. I love that it's in cotton, and so that it's not real hot, but it like for this shoulder season, although we still feel like we're freaking winter here. It's been pouring down rain and cold, so it still feels like winter. We're supposed to maybe get snow at lower levels tonight. Oh my gosh, it's almost the middle of April. But anyway, I'm really happy with it. I love a good gradient. This did end up kind of getting a little more striped than I was thinking it would when it shifted colors, because it's a 4-ply and you go along with one color, and then pretty soon one of the strands in the ply changes. And you go for a while, and then another strand of the ply changes, and it slowly changes until it gets to the other end of the color. And I think this is great for this project. I used one skein, so I only have the beginning and the end to weave in, and it's very wearable. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. Glad that I finished it. So then that freed up some needles, and I felt just really good. Like, hey, I feel like I can give myself permission to cast something new on. So I did. But I'll show you that in a second. Another thing that I finished is another shawl. So I'm going to take this off. And I finished my Vertices Unite by Stephen West. It turned out really, really good. It's very large, but it turned out really nice. I did make the large one because I know a small shawl is not something I would wear. It needs to be able to wrap around and not get fussy. So this is pretty large, which I think I would wear when it's really cold. But anyway, I love all the colors together. I just could not be happier with it. So this is your first section, this big striped section. And that was made up of this, which is Sidewalk Chalk by Needles at the Ready, and this, which is Mrs. Slocum by Fiber Hustle, put together. This big section that's by itself is Trilogy Yarns, in a yarn that she dyed for those of us that all went to Rhinebeck together. I did change, let's see, let me take it off. I did over here add, can you see? That's the wrong side. So you can see it's, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see that it's striped. So the blue is a blue color that I had from Cat's Kettle, who doesn't dye anymore. And then the goldish color is Honey, which is a color I dyed years ago. And then I did the I-cord bind off with the Trilogy Yarns color. So I only have 10 grams, maybe 15 at the most of this. So I did use a lot, I mean, most of the skein of this, which is what I wanted to, which is such a pretty color. So yeah, my giant vertices is finished, and I'm pretty proud of it. I'm happy about it, and I love that I made it with yarns dyed by friends, and it's got some kind of purple in it, but it's not purple. I do other colors other than purple. So anyway, fun knit. The first time I tried to make this about a year ago, I didn't even get through that first section, and which would have been the stripe section. And it was like, I'm just not feeling it. And I think it was my color choices. Even though I loved the colors, they weren't exciting me when I was putting them together, and I just didn't finish it. And I thought, no, not the pattern for me. Well, friends decided to do another knit along, and several of us were doing it. I think I'm probably the last one to finish, but it wasn't a race, and I did finish. Doing this I-cord bind off wasn't too bad. You knit sections and then you put them on hold, and so I left as many sections as I could just on cables and put the little end stoppers on. Actually, I did put the end stoppers on, which came unscrewed, and I started to lose stitches. So I just take those light bulb stitch markers and pin them through the hole of the cable, and then close it up, and that keeps them from falling off. So when I went to do the I-cord bind off, all I had to do was stick a needle on the cable and continue on. I only had to pick up one little section, I think, but other than that, it was all on these different cables. So that made it pretty easy. It just takes a little bit of time. It's not a super fast bind off, but I love the result of it, and I love that it's in that pretty Trilogy Yarns color. So that's nice. I did get some things done on my socks. I was doing 2 at a time socks. I find that I don't gravitate towards working on them. I don't think that 2 at a time on the same needle is for me, because I feel like it's fiddly getting it around and doing all that. And then when I'm knitting, I don't enjoy having this extra sock dangling off my needle. So I will finish these, but I don't think that's going to be the method for me anymore if I knit them by hand. I talked about having a hard time with yarn management, but, and this is part of the fun purchases that I made, I have this wonderful chip basket that I got. Fiber Hustle opened up their shop, online shop, and they have knitting baskets like this in different sizes and hand-dyed yarn. So I was able to snag one of the smaller baskets in this really pretty blue plaid, and this is making it so much easier for me to do yarn management. I have yarn coming out of each side, and so when I'm knitting, I can keep, if I turn this, it just helps me so much more. And then the top unsnaps, and then I just stick my project back in, and when I pull it out, I make sure I've got yarn coming out of either side, and it's working really good, and it's really helping me keep everything managed really well. I do know that they sold out of these. There was a pretty popular item, and he is making more. So go to fiberhustle.com. There is some hand-dyed yarn still in there, and I think Erin keeps kind of adding to it. And I know Chip is making more baskets. They will be in different fabrics for more of a spring collection, but very, very well made, They are super sturdy and stand up really well because there's foam inside. And he's got it quilted, which I don't know if you can see, kind of see in the inside. I love it. I love it so much. And it has just been a great little carry along. Something else that I made, and it's still kind of wet, so I will show it to you, and it's with yarn that I bought from Fiber Hustle, and it is this like periwinkle color. I made the Dustland hat by Stephen West. As you can see, it is very large. It's still damp because I soaked it yesterday, and it's taking forever to dry because it's kind of thick. But it's just a little bit big on me. And it's funny because when I was knitting it, it's DK weight. This is Henry Periwinkler is the color. And I thought, oh, that would show this texture really, really nice. And I love it. It was fun to knit. Part of the reason why I chose this hat as well is because I have a sweater I want to make. I purchased the pattern a while ago. It came out even before the Dustland stuff. It has a lot of similarities to the Dustland, and I thought, gosh, am I going to want to do that for a whole sweater? Let me just see what it feels like to do that texture. And it's texture made with like just changing how pearls go and that kind of thing. So it's nothing hard. It was knit on a size 7. I did the recommended needle size, and when I was casting that on, I thought it has you do the brim with a 6 and the body of the hat with a 7, and I thought that seemed a little big, like it almost needed to go down a size on both of those. But I'm going to go with it because I don't know if this texture ends up knitting tighter or what it does. And I kept trying it on because I thought, I don't know, I think this is going to be too big. I did make the bigger size because I have a big head. I have a 23.5-inch head. There's a lot going on in there. It doesn't always come out, but it's in there. And the pattern said for the 23-inch to do this. And so I thought, okay, I want to do that. I don't like my hats real tight. And so that'll be fine. And I kept trying it on. I'm like, yeah, it fits. It's loose, but it fits. You know, we'll see how this goes. And finished it, blocked it, and I was like, oh, that's really loosening up. So I don't know, these purl stitches might not, you know, because you've got so much texture, instead of it pulling it in, I think it made it really loose. I think it was too loose of a needle. So when this fully dries, I am going to rip it out and reknit it. I do like the hat. I enjoyed it so much, and I made it within a couple of days. I think I started it Thursday night at knit night and finished it by Sunday. So it was, and I don't knit all day long or anything. I just knit a couple hours in the evening. So it was a really fast knit. It is a fun pattern. If you make it, just be wary that it's big. It's loose. So yeah, that's not gonna fit. So like I said, it'll dry. I'll take it all out. I will reknit it. I didn't do a gauge swatch. I probably should see how to measure gauge. I'm not sure how he has you measure it. I didn't even look. I just went by the needle size because generally I'm good with whatever the needle size is. With pattern designers, I'm generally like, I'm real average. I'm not tight, I'm not loose, I'm just average. I'll have to look and see before I tear it out if there's a gauge something like, you know, where do you count gauge? It's all textured. But anyway, I'll figure it out. I'm going to reknit this. So that's got to continue drying. So it was a finish, but a fail, but a fun fail. And it's a beautiful color. Something else I let myself cast on was the Morrow Lake mitts. I talked about that last time, that I wanted to knit it with chartreuse, lime, whatever. And this is a little more purple. It's like a magenta, but leans a little more purple than magenta. But I've just been like obsessed with this color combo. This is something I dyed a long time ago, and this is a color by Lolo Did It called Complete Secret. So it's a Lolo Did It yarn. And it's colorwork, Selbu style mittens. I did a Latvian braid, which I'm pretty proud of. I had to watch a video, but it wasn't hard. It's like a couple of little steps you have to do. But I love it. So this is the top of the mitt. This is the palm. You just do these stripes, which is just a 1x1 color work. And I thought, that's kind of cool. Wouldn't a sweater like that be pretty cool? Because it would look like brioche, but it's not. It's just 1x1 color work. I don't know. But anyway, this is pretty fun to work on. What's nice is you only got, 30-something stitches across here that you have to really look at a graph for or a chart. And this is just 1x1. I don't have to look at anything to do that. So pretty fun. Let's see, this will make, I think I'm making the right mitt. And it seems like it's going to fit. I don't have huge hands, but I do seem to have kind of wider than they are long. But anyway, love the color combination. I'm excited for these to be finished because that's pretty cool. And I do enjoy some color work as long as it's not too terribly complicated. Oops. That must have fallen over. Oh, and that's in my flannel bag by my friend Lori. My chair keeps creaking. Sorry about that. I did make some purchases. So like I said, Fiber Hustle had their shop update, which I have been waiting for, super excited about. And I bought some yarn. So I did get that basket that I showed you, and then I bought a bunch of yarn. I am so excited about this yarn. I can't even tell you. So I got that periwinkle that I made the hat out of. I got another DK weight, and this is going to be DK socks. This is a one-of-a-kind colorway called It Was a Clown Explosion. And I thought that would make some really fun DK weight socks. This is yarn, and I thought it was, and he did tell me that it was, when Aaron came over here last spring, like last March, and it was almost a year to the day that they opened their shop, and this was in it. And this is one of the colorways he dyed when he was here, and I'm like, I loved it when he dyed it. And then I saw it in the shop. I'm like, I have to get it. So I think it's going to be really fun. You've got some turquoise blips in there and some pretty oranges and pinks. And it'll be just a really fun pair of socks. So can't wait to start those. So those were the 2 DKs that I got. And the rest I got is fingering. And so I got, this is Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. So Aaron has quite a few colorways that he is dyeing based off of album covers. He's a musician, and so music is very important to him. And so this is from an album cover. And if you go to the website, or even if I'm sure you follow him on Instagram, he'll show the album cover, and he nails it. I mean, he gets it so good. This, beautiful. I love all my colors. I got them, and I was just so excited because they were all so good. This is another one, 1985. Look at all that. I have a plan for this, and I'll tell you about it in a little bit. But you've got some really pretty speckles. His speckling is so good. I got The Good Life. And I'll tell you what, I have plans for this. I originally was going to do socks, but I have a different plan for it now. So pretty. This was sold out right away in his shop. Or no, he hadn't put it in when the shop opened. And then he added it to the shop another day. And I'm like, oh, gotta get that. So I'm so glad. This color is called Golden Kelp. And it is such a pretty color. It looked pretty on the website. And this is superwash fingering. So if you see it in a different base, it color changes depending on whether it's superwash. But it is such a good color. And I originally thought I would put it with this, but I'm not sure if this has enough contrast, because I thought this could be a really pretty 2-color shawl. And I was thinking of doing the Vente shawl. I have made that in the past, and I made it with red and gray, and it turned out really good. It was fun to knit, and I gave it away on the podcast here quite a while ago. And I thought, this could be really pretty. I need to do a swatch to see if this has enough contrast to this. I mean, it does colorway-wise, but I don't want this to be too loud. But I think that, because you've got some of that green in there, I think it would be really pretty. And then last but not least, I got this one. It's called Sammy, and it is a beautiful, what do you call this? Like a Merlot color. So my thought with this is to put a couple of other colors that I have. So I've got the 2 Fiber Hustle colors, and then I've got this one by Clark and L, that pink. And then this one is one I dyed. And if I put these together, I think it would be a really pretty stripe sweater. The stripe pattern by Andrea Mowry. I thought that could be really pretty and have this kind of like as a pop stripe in there, depending on where you put it. So you've got like really, really light. You've got solid. You know, I think that would be really pretty and have a striped sweater. So that's the plan with that one. What I ended up deciding that I'm going to do with this is, I should have probably bought 2. No, I'll buy other stuff from them. I wanted to make socks because I think it's going to make like a really neat spiral on the socks. But then I found this pattern by Martina Bem, and it is called Easy, and it's a garter scarf. It's more like a scarf. It's like 80 inches long and 10 inches deep, and using like something like this. You know, you knit garter and then you switch directions. So this should play with that a little bit. And I think a scarf type thing would be really easy to wear, because like this is going to be tough to wear because it's so big and so thick. But something like that might be easier to wear. I don't know. I just think it's so pretty. They all are. I don't know what to do with it. So that I'm holding off. And then I got one more. Sorry, I got one more. So I had this one and then this color, which obviously I've already done something with. It's called Pop Pop, and it's like neonish pink with really pretty other colors in it. And I'm like, which one? I was going to make some socks. Like, which one do I do? And it was like, okay, I'll do this one. So I did. I knit them up on my knitting machine. And that's what they knit up like. Aren't those pretty? Those are going to be such fun socks. I will wear these all the time. So I thought those turned out really nice. I did get my knitting machine to start working. I was kind of fussing with it a little bit. I think part of it is, that's going wrong is like a tension thing. So like you put weight, as you knit, you put weights to pull it down, and that holds it on the needle so that they don't, the yarn doesn't just pop off. And it's a matter of finding the right balance of how much pressure to put on it. You don't want too much that the needle can't, grab because it's too tight, and you don't want not enough that it's just coming off the needles. And so I kind of finagled it. I managed to get a couple of sock tubes. So I'm bringing this with me camping. I put in see the blue, that's going to be where the heel goes. I may try the shadow wrap heel with this. I was going to do the shadow wrap heel, you can't see, with this one, which I still plan to do, but, and I thought, well, let me finish this sock so I can see how that fits, but because I don't like to wait for stuff like that, I'm just gonna go for it. Because I always do an afterthought heel anyway, and it's just a form of short row heel. Earth Tones Girl has put out a video. Denise did a really nice video explaining how to do it and showing how to do it and stuff. So I think I'll do that. But I'm going to be camping and I won't have internet. I'm not going to have any service of any kind. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I end up doing. You never know. So that is all I have today. I think it was a pretty successful last few weeks. And I'm really looking forward to going camping. We're going to go to the Deschutes River and camp like right along the river, kind of out in the desert. And So desert being like it's just really dry and rocky and sandy, but it's not desert like just sand. It's cliffs, and hoping to see some mountain goat babies, bighorn sheep. What are they? One of the two. Bighorn sheep, I think. Maybe not. I think they're bighorn sheep. And they live up in the cliffs. And last time we were there, which has been several years, we saw all kinds of babies, and it was just really fun to watch them. So hoping that we get to see some again this time. We're going to camp in a different spot because we are taking the trailer. We normally camp there in a tent, but the weather's been so cool. Like normally by now it's getting hot over there, and it's still pretty cool. And so we decided to take the trailer just because we'll be warmer at night and stuff. We don't like to take the trailer back there because you have to drive about 20 to 30 miles depending on which campsite you go to on a rough gravel road. And so we have to go really slow when we're towing the trailer, and but it will be worth it. So I'm excited to go. It starts the camping season, which is always very exciting. And just waiting for some warmer weather. The sun should be out over there, which will be really, really nice. It'll just be a little bit cooler, which is fine. And there's no cell phone service, there's no internet, there's nothing. So it's a very unplugged weekend. And, we all need to do that every once in a while, I think. It's just sort of unplug and just... So anyway, I hope you all are well, and I will see you the next time, hopefully with some more finished goodies. So thank you for watching. I do appreciate you being here, and I will see you next time. Bye.